Heyo, Chris here. Thanks for tuning into the Delta. And today we're going to continue the beginner's guide to Formula One. Been kind of put on the back burner given all the recent news in Formula One, with Hamilton going to Ferrari and the car launches and all the all the other stuff that's been going on. But we're back and going to try to make understanding a Formula One race a little bit better. So one thing that you may hear being discussed during a Formula One race are the types of tires that drivers and teams are deciding to use. And it may sound confusing if you've never heard of the compounds before, but it's very simple, not too complicated or anything like that. So we're going to break down what F1 tires are in today's episode of the Beginner's Guide. Let's first start off with the supplier. The sole supplier for Formula One is Pirelli. Pirelli has been the main manufacturer for Formula One since 2011. And the way it works is Pirelli announces the 3 dry tire compounds available for a race ahead of time. And to keep things simple for the audience, they'll be referred to as soft tires, medium tires, and hard tires. Moving on to the specs, Pirelli's range of 18-inch tires for the 2024 season comprises of 5 slick compounds. And from hardest to softest, they'll be named C1, C2, C3, C4, and C5. Along with, there's intermediates for wet weather and full wets for like full-on downpours and completely wet tracks. Let's first start here with the slick range, which is C1 through C5. Pirelli will pick 3 compounds to be used at each Grand Prix, taking into account like the track characteristics. Like, is the track rough? Is the climate hot? Is the asphalt newly paved? Is it smooth? So on and so forth. These are the things that they'll consider before choosing which 3 of those compounds they want to use for the race. The soft will always be the softest available compound at the Grand Prix, no matter if it would be C5, C4, or C3. It's possible that like C3 will be the softest for one race, but the very next week, C5 will be the softest, making then C3 the hardest. Let's go through each of these compounds individually. We'll start off with a compound that is labeled C0. And it was used last year in 2023, but not a single team used C0 when it was offered throughout the entire season. So they have omitted that compound for the 2024 season. But in theory, C0 would have been the hardest compound designed for the most demanding of tracks. Okay? So this year in 2024, C1 will be the hardest compound, and it will be used for circuits that take the most energy out of tires and designed to provide maximum resistance to heat and extreme forces. It is also capable of running very long stints at the expense of optimal performance. The C2 tires is the next hardest compound, suited for a faster, hotter, more abrasive circuits, and will tend to be chosen for new circuits for teams that have a conservative option so that tire loads can be verified in real world race conditions for the first time. Then you'll have the C3, which is like the Goldilocks. It's the most versatile of compounds. It can be chosen as the hard, medium, or soft compound for a race based on like its level of durability. It's a well-balanced between performance and durability and suited for a wide range of conditions. And then you also have the C4, and it's designed for low-severity circuits and reaches temperatures really quick and for optimal performance as soon as possible. It's used extensively throughout the season. And then you have the C5, the softest compounds of all the tires, designed for slowest circuits with low wear and degradation. It has maximal mechanical grip, normally seen at street circuits or where the asphalt is the smoothest. One thing to note is that there is no stipulation that the 3 tire compounds have to be sequential in their Pirelli's decision on which ones to use, and some races will have like a gap between compounds. For example, like with the C2, C3, and C5 options, making one tire much softer or harder than the others. So in that particular race, C4 would not be allowed, but C5 is available for a very, very soft, very, very soft tire. And then there's a huge gap then between C5 and C2, which is then like the second hardest tire. And that will open up different strategy options for teams to decide how they want to race the race for the long run. To identify these tires, the highest number slick tire, for instance, like C5, will be marked red for the weekend, and that will be known as soft. The middle choice will be marked yellow, and that's known as medium, and the hardest tire will be the lowest number, and that will be marked white. And then if we're talking about inclement weather conditions with rain, the greens will be marked, intermediates will be marked green, and full wets will be marked blue. So in theory, the soft compound will offer the most amount of grip for a short period of time, making them ideal for qualifying runs, while the medium hard compounds are likely to be more favorable options over the duration of a race. On a standard weekend, drivers are given 13 sets of dry weather tires, 4 sets of intermediates, and 3 sets of full wets. An extra set of softs is reserved for those who reach Q3, while all drivers must use at least 2 different slick compounds in the race, providing the track is dry. So if you start the race in hards, you have to go to another compound at some point during the race, whether it be a medium or a soft. Or if you start on soft, you can't just go 2 pit stops, soft, soft, soft. And then for medium, you can't go like 1 pit stop, medium, medium. You'd have to decide, a team has to decide to use a soft or a hard at some point. Unless the track is obviously wet. If you have a wet track the entire race, then obviously they're allowed to use the intermediates the entire time, or the full wets the entire time. Let's talk about the intermediates for a second. And it's real simple and brief. Typically, they're used for light rain events, and if the track is damp and or drying. And the full wets are used when the track is completely wet and rain is continuously falling. They're rarely used from my experience. I've never seen them like used in a race. And that's usually because the race, if the weather's that bad, the race is usually delayed due to like poor driving conditions or visibility issues, stuff like that. And there you have it. A quick rundown of what tires are used during a Formula One race. To quickly recap, you have the soft red, the medium yellow, and the hard white. And they range hardest to softest from C1 to C5. Thanks for watching. My name is Chris, and you've tuned into the Delta. Hopefully this video has helped you understand a little bit more about the tires and how a team chooses their tires throughout the duration of a race. If you enjoyed the content, please consider liking and subscribing, as it would help me out a lot. But until next time, take care, stay safe, and have fun out there. Bye, everybody.